Try that again. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Build or Buy. Let's put that up on program. That's preview. Put that up on program. Right there. That's program. Got it? Okay. Well, somebody else running the switch today. It's always a fun experience. I want to thank everybody for being here today. For those that aren't here, we miss you folks. If those of you that are online never have a chance and want to come this way, you're welcome to join us. We try to meet every Wednesday from 1 to 3. We have a meeting this week today. We're a few minutes late. Still getting some stuff set up. There's always bugs to be ironed out. Audio should be good. Video's good. We're good on cameras 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we should be good on computer 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Hopefully, I think Joe's got some things he's going to share with us. I've got some news I want to go through with you. First of all, I'm going to start off with browsers. Has anybody updated their browser lately? Firefox? Firefox has gone 64-bit as of last night. Has anybody noticed that? A lot of nothing? Well, anyway, it's important, I think, because we've been running a 32-bit browser for a long time. I'd gone to Chrome. I'd get kind of put out about Chrome because of the way it was using memory and it was really slowing down a computer. So I went back to the new version of Firefox, which is supposed to be out on the 15th. Today's the 11th. Last night, it updated from the 32-bit to the 64-bit. I think that's a big deal. And for those of you that are online, thanks for joining us. Hope you enjoy this. And Lou is not here right now, so anybody that wants to be on the list for when we do things, changes, or whatever's going on, get that email to us, send it to Lou, contact us either on YouTube on our website or directly on builderbuy.net or builderbuy.org, and we'll get you on the list. Like I said, we're going to have a meeting this week. We have a meeting next week. And next week, that will be our last meeting for the month because the 25th, the facilities will not be available here. They've got a big shindig they're doing on the 26th. Don't know what it is, but because of what they've got to do to get set up, it won't be available. So we will not have a meeting the last week of this month, but we'll be back on November the 1st, back in here at Chapelwood, the Scout Building. Now, I don't know the particulars yet about what's happening at Fairhaven. I've talked to Bob Luton, and I've got some information he shared with us about Kaspersky I'll get to in a few minutes. But we're welcome there. I miss them. I know we all do. But I don't know when we'll go back over there because I've got to go check it out and see if it's still possible for us to meet there. So right now, Scout Building is where we're going to be. So number one, the browser, it's gone 64-bit for those that notice it. And I'm going to go over to another computer. Let's go over to input number 3. And I'm going to bring up the browser, and I'll go to the talking points. Postponing Windows 10 updates. Did y'all notice also last night and this morning that Microsoft is monkeying around with the computers doing updates? I got 2 computers right now wanting to do updates. So if I were to show you something to reboot, we'd have to wait for those computers. They'd be offline. Got a question? Let's get a mic over there, please. He's coming.
I was up visiting my nephew in New England, and he got the Microsoft Fall Edition Creators Update.
Fall Creators Update.
And
is he on the fast track?
No, he's nothing. I mean, he's in the dark ages. He doesn't even know what an update is.
Wow.
And I started looking at it, and I don't even see that you are able to go out and download it. It doesn't appear to be released yet, but just popped. Yeah.
Did you get a number for that?
1703.
Yeah, but the rest of the number.
The what?
The rest of the number. There's more to that.
Everybody's got 1703 practically. It's another 5 digits and then another 3 digits. Those are the important ones.
Don't know about that.
Let me show you.
Okay, pull up the system and.
Let's go to input number 1. Yeah, Joe's computer. Thank you.
Got it. Settings. Let me start all over.
About. Should be in about.
It's in about. It's these last 3 digits right here.
674?
I got 674 on this machine.
I'm not seeing any. What are you showing? I'm not seeing anything.
You're not seeing it?
Nothing.
See where it
Nothing is
says
showing
version
on.
1703?
Nothing is showing on the screen.
Okay, that should be.
Oh,
Hold on a second. We're on Joe's computer. Oh, did you magnify?
I don't think so,
Looks like that's what it is.
but I don't have magnify on.
It's the way it's seeing the. Don't totally get rid of it.
No, I just put it down here. No, if I had magnify on, it would follow the cursor.
Hang on, I know what's wrong. Just a minute. There. Sorry.
Oh, the OS build. I don't remember that.
OS build.
This was the new update because it's over 2 hours to update.
Oh, I know. I know it is, but what I was wondering is which upgrade they gave him because.
I don't remember. I don't remember that.
and, you know,
Okay, 1709 is the creators update. 1709, not 1703.
What took 2 hours to update then?
Well, there have been updates to the creators update that
Yes.
have taken a while,
Yes.
and it depends on the network it's being updated from and the computer that's doing the updating.
Yes.
But 1709 is the fall creators update, and it's not available except through the ring.
So
Okay.
he does not have fall critters update.
But it will be right away.
Yes.
But just for the heck of it, you might want to ask him what the OS build number is.
Yeah. Double check it.
Tell him how to get there, and those are the last 3 digits are what's critical.
Well. Yeah. And I've got the same thing up here, version 1703. This computer had 47 updates last night, and it's 1703 now, number 674. Well, let's bring that up on screen. That would be number, yeah, thank you, number 3.
Same thing I got.
Windows 10, same thing Joe has, version 1703, and it's 15063.674. And that had 47 updates last night. And like I said, I've got 2 others here wanting to update the 1703. So the other, it's coming down the pike, it's coming down the pike. So
I was trying to think.
We zoom back out.
We tried
thank you.
a disk manager,
Okay.
and we tried.
Now, back to what I was talking about. Firefox goes
I
64-bit.
cannot see this thing
I've
at
got
all.
some information about postponing the Windows 10 updates. I got this from Sue Oslin, and also about shutting off Chrome. Did you know when you're not using Chrome, Chrome can still be running in the background?
Maybe it would if it booted.
Did y'all know that?
But I don't know. Like I said, I've done
I didn't.
Partition Manager. That's how I got the.
Found out.
I mean, reboot.
'Cause I was
with
trying to
this
figure
thing
out
on it?
what was sucking my memory.
Sure.
But
And then I mentioned I was going to talk to you about Skype and the Elgato Cam link. I'll get to it if we get to it. Skype, the Elgato Cam link, and what it can do. And I want to mention a little bit about streaming, about some professional streaming solutions because of the technology for you to be watching if you're interested to see how this is being done. And some of this technology was used recently, as I mentioned before, when we went through Hurricane Harvey. And that's how they were broadcasting that information, doing such a good job of it. So whenever somebody's on the news and whenever they're broadcasting a remote, I'm curious how they're doing it because sometimes it gets pixelated. So I know they don't have a good connection with whatever solution they're using. And knowing what the 3 are that are the top ones, it's always curious because they'll never tell you unless you find an article somewhere else, which I have a time or two. But they never tell their secrets. Okay, the article I've got on postponing Windows 10 updates, I'm going to have a second to pull it up. Because like I said, I got this from Sue. Sue said hi. They made it okay through the storm. Joe, what were you going to show us?
Well, we're going to see if we can see this disk. We can't get a recognition on the hard drive.
So as a follow-up to last week, we're trying the disk on your converter, and it doesn't see it.
Right. And now at home, he could not get a number,
drive letter.
a drive letter. We got a drive letter. And even with the Windows disk management, I can change the drive letter to a letter I choose.
Yes.
So what we're trying to see is that he said that he had a different experience when he booted with this thing hooked up. So I just rebooted my machine with this drive in there, and now I'm going to see if I see it.
Let's see what you get.
First, we're going to look in
change that over. Oh, change that over to Joe's machine. Thank you. How did the view on that change? That's right.
Try disk management.
Oh, we've got those backwards. Didn't realize. So what's it got coming up?
Nothing.
Oh, you're still waiting on it?
I think it's preventing me from getting up, as a matter of fact. There.
What does it say now? Unable to register.
No,
Oh, snag
that's
it.
different.
No.
That's a different one. Okay. Now here's disk management.
Is that it?
No, but it comes back to ECE. Yep, here it is, right here.
Yeah, you say that's it.
It
That's
says
what I-
healthy logical drive NTFS partition.
2 terabytes.
Well, now that it sees it, see if you can put something on it.
Is it formatted?
That's what I was looking at.
Yeah, it is. NTFS. Okay, now let me minimize this. Go find something that's oh boy, 1 terabyte. What's that? Disk D. Let's do a manual. I'd give you my family tree, but you probably couldn't use that.
ESIS manual.
Yeah, there we go. And now let's see if it did it. Bingo.
Yeah.
Fix it.
I didn't fix it. I didn't do anything to fix it. I did not fix it. Don't.
Well, yeah,
All
I
you
think
did was
the
bring
first
it up.
thing You did fix it because you were able to assign it a drive letter,
Yeah.
and I couldn't do that. So now that it has a drive letter, that's the only thing that was missing. And
Okay.
then when you rebooted your machine, because it's USB instead of SATA, somehow now you can see it. So I think by giving it a drive letter, maybe when I get home it'll work.
Okay. Keep
Thank
us
you, Joe.
keep us posted. It is gone. Would you mind unplugging this for me?
Now, the question is, will it work when he gets home?
That's
It
what we've
should.
got to find out.
What I'd forgotten about this. What I wanted to do is try it on Joe's laptop, which he did, and then if there was a problem, I was going to try it on one of these desktop machines as a secondary. But since it worked on the primary, there's no need to try it on the secondary because it should work at home.
But
Should-
it might be interesting to see if it does work on this one of yours.
I'll let
You want
know.
to give it a
I'm
shot?
looking for that little
Yeah,
bag.
yeah. Let's give it
Give
that
it to me. Let me plug it into a machine.
If you would unplug this for me.
Change the inputs for just a minute. Let's go over to that computer. Now, if I spin this around, I'll show you the drive I'm getting ready to put this into
By the way.
so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, I'm going to go to a computer that's got a removable rack in it. So if you want to put that up on screen. What size is this drive?
2
2
terabytes.
Okay. That's a Seagate 2 terabyte SSHD.
If that doesn't work at home, you just bring it back. We'll try it again, then you just leave it here.
Might as well.
Okay, I put it in the machine.
There we go.
Let's change over to that desktop. And there it is. It says it sees the drive. I said, do not scan. And there's the ESIS manual that you put on it. So it's working.
See if you can add to it.
See if I can add to it. Well, let me go find something. Got all kinds of stuff on this drive. Let's see. Downloads. There's a manual. I'll just copy that manual. Copy. Put that over here. Paste. So, it's working.
You got a working drive.
That's great.
So, and the one thing that's key is I don't want to just pull the drive out. what I want to do is go down here, and to safely remove the drive, I want to eject it because I'm using hot swap. And I believe that's it, the SSH, which would be yours. DSSH, that's the way you've got the label set. So I'll eject that drive. Safe to remove. So, go back and let it show the rack. Let's go back down there to number 4, camera 4. Flip that over. There we go. We'll take that out. And those are the iStar USA hot swap racks that I use. That's why I like to use these, for those reasons.
I got mine installed now. Works just fine.
Good, good. Okay. We'll swing that camera back around. So
I
it'll be
thought
good
we was
for
going to
other
end up
things.
with a drive, Gil.
I did too. I was looking forward to that.
Well, I got 9 others that don't work. Can we do that?
Bring them up one at a time. We'll take a look at them. Or if you want to bring 2 or 3.
Right now, I got them in the stack and my monitor's on top of it. I got a 4x4.
Let me show you what we use here. This is what we got last week. It's got the USB power and data connections on one end,
Got it?
and then USB cord to go to the computer and a power plug. So it makes it a desktop hard drive very easy to, you know, before we had that thing, we had all kinds of wires going, different kinds of separate power wires, separate everything,
And this is from Monoprice?
monoprice.
And this is a USB 3.0 to SATA converter. And, this, and how much was this? $17.
It's calls a SATA converter?
USB 3
yeah.
to SATA.
Yeah. And it'll work on USB too, because that's what this laptop is. There is no USB 3 on my laptop.
And it's taking
Backwards
power.
compatible.
Do what?
It's backwards compatible.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's taking power from that USB port. Okay, let's go off that camera just a minute. Change the input if you would. Thank you. Even though there's nothing over there. I'm going to zoom that out. Change that view back. Okay. And I'm coming back. So at least we know that works. Thank you. Okay, so let's see, where was I? I was going to share with you what Sue had shared with us. You know, Milt had shared with us a link some time ago about how to stop Windows from rebooting, which I thought was pretty neat that worked on Windows 10 Pro. Yeah, let me go to Build or Buy because I've got the link up and I've left it up because I think it's always going to be relevant. Milt had given us Win Arrow, how to permanently stop Windows 10 reboots after installing updates. Milt gave us that back in January 30th. Milt's still helping us even though he can't be here. So, Win Arrow, how to permanently stop Windows 10 reboots after installing updates. Follow that link and follow those instructions and it will do that job. And it does it very nicely. Now the information that I got from, I haven't tried this yet, but what I got from Sue. Which one? From Milt. If you look here under Builder Buy where it says Builder Buy Calendar for 2017, quick link highlights, it's right above the link for our YouTube videos. Right above talking points. And it's right there, number 4, from Milt Guggenheim. See where I go, the technology news, above that, the YouTube videos, and above that, talking points, right in that area.
What's the date on it?
The date on that is 1/30/2017. And it's on the website Win Arrow. How to permanently stop Windows 10 reboots after installing updates. I'll hold down the control key and bring that up. It works.
It
And
looks
I
very different here.
Do what? Did you find it?
No, my page looks very different than yours.
Your page looks different than that. Let me come over there where you're at. Go to builderbuy. Go to builderbuy.net or builderbuy.org. Show me where you're at. Scroll down. and up, up, up. Okay, you're on index news. Go to the index page. You need to go to the index page. Well,
See, if you had a PC over there,
you should. He does.
David, you could do that.
Go up there to home. Home should do it. No, it doesn't. It'll take you all the way back. Pull the information out of there where it says index news. Yeah, back all that out and hit enter. There you go. Now scroll down. And right there it is. On the index page, number 4 from Milt Guggenheim. Winera how to permanently stop Windows 10 reboots. That's a good little article, and it's really easy to follow. Thank you for pointing that out. Yes, the website needs some work. There's only so many hours in a day. And that little link, I guess we can walk through it again. Number 1, open control panel. Is anybody going to walk through this? Do we need to do this? Go to control panel, system and security, the administrative tools, and click on the task scheduler icon. You want me to walk through it? Don't everybody raise their hand at once. Yes. Oh. I was beginning to wonder if my mic was on. Okay, I'm going to bring up the control panel. I'm going to go to administrative tools. And then what do I want? Computer management. Let's see, administrative tools. Task scheduler icon, right down here toward the bottom, task scheduler. We'll bring up the task scheduler. I'll make that full screen. Okay, let's flip back over. And from there, then we want to go to control panel, system and security, administrative tools, click on the task scheduler icon. Okay, once we have the task scheduler up, we'll go to the folder. Open the following folder, Task Scheduler Library. Task Scheduler Library. Microsoft Windows Update Orchestrator. Microsoft Windows Update Orchestrator. And there's Update Orchestrator. I'll move that bar over just a little bit so you can see it. Update Orchestrator. Okay, tab back over. We're going to see a task called Reboot. Disabling it using the appropriate command in the right menu. Okay, let's look for Reboot. And there's Reboot. And that says Disabled. So Reboot, disable it. So I'll double click on it. Anyway, it's disabled right now. It could be enabled. I have it disabled because we've done this before some time ago. Once the reboot task is disabled, Windows 10 will never reboot itself automatically after updates have been installed.
Okay.
Yes, Nick. Can we get a mic over here for Nick, please? Go back to Task Scheduler Library.
Yeah, you went too fast.
Sorry.
Task Scheduler Library.
Okay. Let me close this down. We'll bring it back up. Okay. Control panel, administrative tools, computer management.
Wait a minute. Did you have to go to computer management?
No, sorry. Administrative tools, and down here where it says Task Scheduler.
Got it. And I got on Task Scheduler Library, but I don't know where to go from there.
Okay, once you have Task Scheduler up, I got it full screen. Then I'm going to take the, over here on the far left side, I'm going to expand that arrow. See when I click on it? I click on that arrow.
I don't see.
Let me magnify. Right there. See, I've got an arrow there. on the far left side.
Yes.
When I click on it, I get a down arrow.
Okay, that's where I lost you.
Sorry. So I click on that, I get a down arrow. Then I click on the Microsoft, and I'll
Yes.
get a down arrow.
Okay.
Then I click on the Windows, and I'll get a down arrow.
Okay.
And once it populates, then I'm going to scroll down to
Do what?
Update Orchestrator. It's the first U in the list. Update Orchestrator.
I've got this other window overlying it, and I can't. I can see it. Update orchestrator.
Come over and take a look.
I got it, but this is overlapping it. But I got it right there.
Yeah, Update Orchestrator. You can grab this bar right here and draw this out. Right, click. Yeah, when it shows a double arrow, click on it and drag it. There you go. Now click on Update Orchestrator. There you go. And now then you're looking at reboot, and reboot is disabled. We did that on yours last time too. We did that several months ago, back in January.
Well, it didn't work because it updated this morning.
Well, all this does is keep your computer from rebooting. It doesn't stop the updates.
Ah.
We're going to do something different to stop the updates. Yes, Jack. I get a mic over here for Jack. Thanks, Jim.
How does not allowing it to reboot affect the installation of the update then?
It does not. All we're doing, because David Crook asked the question, how do you stop Windows from rebooting? And that's what this is, stopping Windows from rebooting.
Okay, so
Now,
this,
the next step of stopping the updates, that's separate.
this
But
is
I'm showing, because David Crook asked, how did Milt tell us how to do this back in January? That's what this is. When we get through with this, then I'll show you what Sue said, how to stop the updates. Two separate issues.
okay, because I'm not interested in stopping the updates, but I would be interested in stopping it from rebooting after it updates.
This stops it from rebooting.
Okay, and then how would you complete the update, assuming you wanted it?
Well, let's go to the next step, and we can get into that, how you turn this off.
Okay,
What we're doing is is that confusing?
yeah, so far, but let me go ahead and finish, and maybe it won't be.
Go ahead, Ben. You got a question?
If you put it on disabled updates or disabled reboot, wouldn't it automatically come up the next time you rebooted your computer?
Sure. You're going to eventually reboot. All you're doing is taking control
Right.
of that reboot issue.
So the next time you reboot your computer, it would
Microsoft's going to take over, and it's going to run
Right.
the updates. All we're doing right now is showing what David Crook asked about that Milt showed us back in January.
Okay, the reason I brought it up is on my iMac, which runs on Windows. When it reboots into iMac unless I'm there to tell it otherwise.
Yes.
I mean reboots into OS X unless I tell it otherwise. So when Windows tells it to do a reboot in the middle of something,
It's
it
annoying.
It goes into OS X and screws up the entire,
Everything.
yeah.
Well, this is how you tell it to stop the rebooting.
Thank you.
This just does that one thing. And as I said, if y'all want, we went through this because David had asked, and it's a good refresher. I haven't done it in a long time myself. And right now it says reboot disabled. So we've already set it on Nick Streeter's machine. And it says disabled. It says the trigger was 5:30 on 10:10. That's interesting. I got the reboots anyway. This had nothing to do with the reboots. I mean, I had the updates anyway. That had nothing to do with the. This is just about the reboot. Yes, Joe. Is your mic on? You don't hear him? Yeah, if it's in your pocket, it may have gotten turned off. Yeah, it's gone mute. Hold on. Yeah, just tap it. There you go. You're on.
See, last night I was getting ready to shut this thing down, and as I was reaching for the button, a window came up and says, Microsoft has an update for you. We're going to start in like 8 minutes unless you want to delay it. So I said, cool, just go ahead and do it.
Get it over with.
I want to get to bed.
I got other things to do, other fish to fry. Okay, so enough about how to do that. We've shown how to set it. And this is what Milt showed us some months ago. Okay, so I'm going to close that screen down, close that application down. Now I'll go back over here to email because I haven't had time to put this up. And here's the email from Sue. Thanks for continuing to broadcast after Harvey. We appreciate your post-storm advice. Your caring about Builder by Member shows and brings us a sense of getting back to normal for those still recovering. Compared to many friends and neighbors, we were blessed to only have minor storm issues. Okay, here's what she wants to share. My method of postponing Windows 10 updates. This method works for Windows 10 Pro users and only takes 2 group policy changes. Windows 10 Pro. It's important to enable both settings. Now, on a side note, this is about Windows 10 Pro. If you know what those settings are in the registry, then those same keys could be exported so they could be used on a Windows 10 home machine. But we're doing this on Windows 10 Pro. Okay, the first thing to do is enable turn on software notifications. And number 2, enable configure automatic updates and select option 2, notify for download and auto install. Now what I'll do, I'll put this information on a page with some screens to show how to do this if you guys would like, so we can refer to it later. And I'll not only put it up on Builder By, but I'll put it up as a link in this YouTube video for anybody who wants to know how to do it. Now, how it works, you're prompted when you have updates, but can close the message and continue with what you're working on. If you get a month or more behind on your updates, the Microsoft warnings will get more aggressive, stops what you're doing and forces you to view your updates. And she's got a couple of screenshots of what the group policy settings look like. And she said, best wishes. So, the group policy. Yeah, Sue Oslin. Sue Oslin. Tell her I said hi. Email with some folks have been kind of sketchy. For example, like Jim and Pat, I got what looked like an automated message for my birthday, happy birthday. But every time I emailed them about how they're doing, I got nothing. And Jim's here today. So, how y'all doing? Good. Did y'all have any water?
No water.
Good. I was concerned when I didn't hear from you, so we didn't see you last week. So, I'm glad you're all right. Okay, configure automatic updates. Now, this is a side note because some people have talked about saying, okay, like on Nick Streeter's machine, how do I keep that from doing those stupid updates when I'm, say, like at the farm and I'm using my Verizon hotspot? You tell Windows that you don't have a regular internet connection. You tell Windows that you're on a metered connection. So that way it won't try to do updates on a metered connection. But this is what Sue had suggested. So I won't do it right now, but I want to tell you about how to do it in case somebody wants, unless y'all want to go through it. And the other screen she had, turn on notifications, group policy. Turn on software notifications, enabled. So once I get a chance, I'll run through it, and I'll put these screens up with everything she's got about this. So if anybody wants to try it later, you can give it a shot. Any questions?
New subject if you're ready.
Go right ahead.
I have a problem.
Have you seen the doctor about this?
I have, and he says, go see Joe and Gil.
Did he say, don't worry, it's not contagious?
Right, it's not contagious. This is a desktop computer that during the flood I moved it and it no longer boots up.
Bummer.
So it has an SSD in it, and I pulled that out, put it in another computer, was able to read it, got all the data off. So I have all the data off on another computer, plus I have a reflect image of the SSD. So the question is, what's the easiest way to start about fixing it? Can I try a Windows repair, or is there something?
Fixing what?
With the fact that the computer won't boot up.
Okay, first
nothing happens. You know, the power comes on, the blip, 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 but nothing appears on the screen.
All right, okay.
They won't post up.
But I thought you said the hard drive's okay though, right?
Well, the hard drive's okay in that I put it in another computer, not to boot. I didn't boot up from it. I just put it in there and took the data off of it. So I was able to read everything on the SSD. So, but the SSD is not booting up. So I assume something must.
Or are you getting that far?
I'm getting nothing. In other words, I turn the computer on, nothing
It's
comes.
not booting.
It's not booting at all.
It's not your hard drive because you're not getting up to the hard drive.
You're not getting a post.
Like when I make a machine, you know, I can leave the hard drive out until the last minute and put it in and make sure everything works. Then I get the error when I get up. It says hard drive is missing or hard drive is defective.
You're right. You're right. I hadn't thought about it.
So that you don't need a hard drive to check out your machine.
What do I need other than the new machine?
Well, what happened to it? Did it get flooded?
It did not get flooded. No, I mean
So odds are it got jostled around.
that's right.
So disconnect all of the electrical connections and reconnect them to start off with.
Okay.
Okay, that will probably solve your problem. If it doesn't, then you need to determine which component is or components are not working. And the first thing you do is go back and disconnect all of the connections. In other words, take the power supply, the cords that the power supply, take them out of their slots, take the SATA cords off, take any parallel or PATA cords off, take the memory out, put that back on, together, see if it boots then. If that doesn't work, then try testing your power supply to start off with.
Yeah, I'd try to test the power supply first, make sure that's not damaged. And then when you go to put it back together, only plug in. Does it have a separate video card? You use onboard video.
Onboard video.
Okay, then only plug in your memory and turn it on and see if it'll boot up. If it doesn't boot up, then you got a motherboard problem. See, you got nothing hooked up.
Right. Right.
But just keep the memory. It has to have memory to boot.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Do you have a speaker in there? Does it give you the beeps?
I bought a little speaker that I can hook in so I can get the beeps. Yeah.
Okay.
I got a personal question for you. What part of town do you live in?
Southwest Houston.
Southwest.
Around Hill.
Well, I've got a power supply tester, so you wouldn't have to pull the power supply out. But I live direct west off 10. So I don't know if it'd be convenient for you to run out there or not, but if it is, you can certainly borrow it, or you can wait a week and I'll bring it next week.
Okay, I can wait a week.
Did your power get turned off during the storm?
That was the bizarre thing. We got 2 feet of water in the house. The water covered the electrical outlets, and the power did not go out because the oven clock was right on time.
Did you walk through that water when it was flooded down there?
No. We this is our second flood, so this time we abandoned the premise. This is before the flood. The computer was up on a desk, so the only thing that could have gotten wet, since I had a UPS on it, the water probably came up over the outlet that the UPS was plugged into.
Okay, your power supply could be messed up.
Shorted out, yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, if it's shorted out, that's where you're at.
Well, that's the good part. If it's shorted out, you just get another one there.
That's
Yeah.
simple.
But, it seems, all the lights and everything come on the computer. I don't know whether that tells you anything about the power supply or not, but
You may be getting some power, but you don't know if you need to watch the fan and see if the fan on the power supply is coming on. And short of going in and testing the pins, if he's got a power supply tester, if you had a voltmeter, you touch the right pins, you can see if you're getting power on that 12-volt rail.
yeah.
But other than that, if you can borrow someone's power supply tester, that'll tell you if it's working or not. Do Do you have a spare power supply you can try?
I do not.
Now, right now, all of the cables are hooked up, right?
Yes, everything's hooked up.
Okay.
What were you thinking, Joe?
Well, I was thinking if they weren't hooked up, you know, if you're going to test the motherboard out without being able to boot up, you can just short the pins on the that multi-pin plug down there.
Yes.
It says power. Just temporary short those, and that bypasses the fact that something's got to be hooked up, and it'll give you power on the motherboard. But you just tap it with a screwdriver, or, you know, put your tongue down there.
Yeah.
Well, forget I said that, but tap it with a screwdriver or anything metal.
In all honesty, your power supply probably got bit, and it may be putting out some power, but it's not putting out the correct voltage.
Okay.
So the good news is you don't have to replace the motherboard or the CPU. The bad news is you're probably going to have to replace the power supply. That's why I wanted to know, first, if it got wet, and two, if it didn't, how, and then you said you got water, how high did the water go? So
It got no water. The only thing, like I said, the only thing that it could have done,
the outlets.
the water would have gotten to where the UPS was plugged into the wall.
Yeah.
But the UPS was setting up on top of a desk along with the computer, so the computer shouldn't have got anything because the UPS should have blocked anything even. But as I said, the power stayed on.
Well, most UPSs have a MOV in them, just like power strips.
And a MOV, when a MOV fails, it fails open, which means you don't know that it failed.
Yeah.
And it's good for one time.
I heard something interesting on the radio
Yes.
a day or two ago, and I believe it was on Houston Public Media, 88.7, and the This Old House people were in Houston to talk about repairing flooded houses. And they brought up something that I'll pass along. I'm not sure of the veracity of it or not, but they said if the water got up to a point where the outlets were underwater, that depending on the type of wiring that you have in your house, if it's paper wrapped wiring, that paper could I'm not thinking of the right word, but
Capillary action?
The capillary action could bring the water up through the wiring far into your walls and ceiling, and you may have to replace your wiring for what it's worth.
But how old is your house? You got me to have an old house for that to happen.
Yeah, it's an old house, but I'm going to choose not to accept that theory as reasonable.
Okay, well, also bring your computer in next week if you feel like it. That'd be a fun project.
Yeah.
Take a look at it.
Okay, I'll, if I'm able to do it, I'll give you a call, Joe.
Okay.
I'll email you.
Okay, either way.
Yeah. Thanks.
Sure.
Oh, by the way, I told you guys earlier that I had my house phone and cell phone rigged up so that if you called my home and I wasn't there, it would automatically forward it to my cell phone.
Oh, good.
Well, yeah, but I said, after a few weeks of that, I said, well, this is crap, I'll tell you. I'm getting too many junk calls because my house phone's set up with this no more robo. And so robocalls get shorted out. I never hear them. But this bypasses that, and it gives me all that junk on my cell phone. So I said, that's it. That's it. We're done with that.
Done.
So now I'm not hooked up that way. So now I got a house phone and a cell phone.
Well, I'm always doing email, so that's the easiest way for me to try to get hold of somebody. Okay, so back to the talking points. We've talked about postponing the Windows 10 updates. And as far as shutting off Chrome, I've got a link for that down here in the talking points. I was so involved in what we were doing. There's so many things going on right now this week. It's an exciting time to be involved with computers. So let me find the Chrome. How many still use Chrome? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay.
Partially.
Right. Do what, Joe?
And partially I used it.
Well, I'm partial, but after that little fiasco I went through of sucking all the life out of a machine, I'm kind of done with Chrome right now. But then I got to looking about Chrome still running in the background, and so I found a link on how to stop it. And this is number 4, OMG Chrome, which has some interesting information up about Chrome everything. But Chrome running in the background, and here's how to stop it. So I'm going to hold down the control key and I'll bring up that link. It's a good piece of information that I didn't realize. And what we'll do.
I got a word on Chrome.
Do what?
I have a word on Chrome.
Go ahead. What's your word on Chrome?
Well, I don't know. A year or so ago, I couldn't load Firefox for some reason, so I switched to Chrome, and I've just never switched back. But I have noticed lately that if I have 2 or 3 tabs open on Chrome, you can Control-Alt-Delete and go to some kind of a debug screen. I don't remember what the name of it is. But I can have 10 or 20 activities that the name is Chrome or something or other running in the machine. So Gil's talking about that Chrome can slow you down, and it's more than 1 per tab. So if I got 4 tabs open and a dozen Chrome instances running under this process manager or whatever it is, that makes me think maybe I ought to go back to Firefox, because I don't know if Firefox does that or not, but I should try it. I guess one reason I'm sticking with Chrome, I've got half a dozen add-ons that I like to use that protect me when I go places, and I guess I can take the trouble to go figure out what they are, and I'm sure I can get them on Firefox. So I think I'll give Firefox a try again.
And don't forget, if you take a look at, I'm sure you got a Process Explorer installed on your machine, right?
Yes, but I don't usually go that. I go to the built-in one.
Yeah, but if you go to that tells you everything you want to know right there.
Well, it tells me a whole lot more than I want to know, so it's just easier.
Okay.
But I understand what you're saying, and I don't know that I've ever benefited from it, but I've spent a lot of time looking at it, and you can see other things. But I don't know, it's just for me that the built-in process controller does all that I'm capable of doing.
Well, there's a link on Chrome, so those of you that are interested can figure out how to do it. The big deal today was that Firefox has gone 64-bit, and I'm back with Firefox. Now, some of the things that are going on with the news, we've got on the talking points. I'm going to start down here at the bottom. Of course, all these things are related. I wish Frank Dannenbaum was here, because he gave us the link on Tachus Gigabit Fiber. If anybody's interested in doing gigabit, what they want is 100. You've got to have 100 neighbors that are interested in doing fiber. 100 neighbors. So if you go to that, run through the link from Tachus, it's number 32 in the talking points, and give them your address, your name, and email. They'll tell you how many people in your neighborhood have responded. In my neighborhood, there's 3. So as I said last week, that's something I want to go on a campaign. Now, after I sent that, I got a message from Lou, and I think this is interesting because I had an interesting conversation with Greg. Anybody that has anything that's going on in your neighborhood about fiber, I really want to hear about it, because we all know that all this fiber that's being run all over Houston, AT&T is doing something with it. What, I don't know. It's not all hooked up, but it's all over the place. It's in our neighborhood, but it's not hooked up. It's not available. So Lou sends me this because we have that neighborhood watch thing where you can put information up, and somebody responded to that with AT&T, said they're doing fiber in the area. I looked. Well, in the area is like bigger than in our neighborhood. So I have not contacted this person by phone, but according to the link, which I have a link up here on Build or Buy from AT&T to check their fiber and see what their speeds are, it's still a good idea to look. They'll tell you it's not available, but I'm hoping it's coming sooner than later. But right now, the best bet for fiber is probably going to be Tachus Gigabit. Now, as I said last week, Tachus Gigabit Fiber, I think that's the fiber that's over at the secondary link now at Fairhaven. So Fairhaven has 2. Comcast that we put in collectively, and number 2, they now have Tachus Fiber. Tachus, it's T-A-C-H-U-S, Tachus. Tachus Gigabit Fiber. Now what's interesting, here at Chapelwood we have AT&T Fiber, and if you look at the map for AT&T Fiber in this area, this is as far as it goes out I-10 West, right here where we're at Chapelwood. But to get it on out I-10, Tachus is out there. What I'd like to do is see Tachus come way out my way to Katy. Now, there is some fiber out that direction, but it's not fiber that I could access. My best bet, my best choice, my best option is going to be Tachus, I think, one day. Now, with that said, I've got Comcast, and I've got DOCSIS, latest DOCSIS 3.1 cable modem, and during Harvey, they throttled my bandwidth down. They've turned it back up to 200 megabit. So I've got 200 megabit down and 10 megabit up. But I've got a cable modem that is theoretically capable of gigabit speeds. So if that ever gets turned on before I leave them, there's a possibility I may get gigabit one day. The question is, what's it going to cost? But I've got a link up to it. I've also got a link up on the Elgato cam link, which I'll get back to later. Also the Quantum browser, which I think is relevant, especially today since it went 64-bit. And I've got links up to 3 streaming devices. And I'll leave you with these 3 names to be thinking about. During Hurricane Harvey, the #1 device most news sources were using was LiveU. And that is number 29 in the talking points. LiveU is coming out with a new HEVC card. When you hear this technology about streaming, there's 2 different codecs that are used. H.264 and H.265. When you talk about H.265, which gives better compression, you're going to hear 2 terms that are interchangeable. H.265 and HEVC. They mean the same thing as far as what you're dealing with for the end result. And it's about getting more information down, smaller bandwidth. For example, here we are, we have the option where we can stream in 4K. We have a converter that can take everything we do at 1080 and up convert, and we can send it out 4K. But we need not an H.264 converter, we need an H.265 converter. And I would like to be able to do at least 1 meeting on 4K with the bandwidth that's available. With H.265, we can push an H.265 stream down the line. And it goes to a cloud server, which then takes it from the cloud server and converts it for the CDN to receive an H.264. All this stuff about all this technology, nobody can receive, no CDN can receive an H.265 yet, but it's coming down the pike, which brings up the next point. You've got a hardware-software solution, so there's 3 of them. There is the Teradek, which is coming out with a new product. There is the BoxCaster Pro. They're coming out with a new product. And then there's the LiveU 600. The LiveU 600 plus this HEVC card slips into this device to give it the capability of H.265. All 3 of those devices offer a streaming service, but only one of those devices I'm aware of can work without the streaming device. But for now, it's the only way to do H.265. Now, I've got a link up for LiveU 600, BoxCaster Pro, and the Teradek, and I've also got a link up into B&H's website about the Teradek Cube 855. There's a 755 coming out. There is an 855 coming out. If you read about the 2, it's very confusing right now because everything on Teradek's site talks about the 755, and it mentions the H.265 codec. But the new one they're coming out in November that's going to do specific to H.265 is the Teradek Cube 855. Now, if you've got H.265 that does HEVC, that also means 4K. Doesn't have to. What that really essentially means is if you want to stream in 1080, let me back up. At the house, I've got a 10 megabit upload. I cannot stream 1080 on a 10 megabit upload with H.264. With H.265, I can stream 1080. At the house, on a 10 megabit upload, I can only stream 720. So I'll give you some idea what you're dealing with. So there are benefits with the H.265 codec, but there's some, as I say, some hiccups to deal with. So I want to throw those 3 things out there for you. Now, we like tests. We like to test our machine. Moving on to a new topic. We like to test our machine to see what it's capable of. We had testing under Windows 7, under Vista. They got rid of it in Windows 10. Well, now there's a test if you want to check your machine and see if it's capable of VR. So I've got a link up from Tom's Hardware, how to check your PC's compatibility with Windows Mixed Reality. For those that are interested, you can run the test and see if your machine's capable of it. Do you have a powerful enough video card? Now, this goes to something that Ben had asked once before. Why are we looking at more powerful computers? because we're doing more powerful things. For example, this cam link that I'm not going to talk about that I'm going to save for later that works with Skype, it can also work like our streaming device we're using right now, which is from Elgato, the HD60. It's great for Skype, but as far as streaming or trying to capture with it, not so much. It needs a fast computer. I had it crash a hard drive on one of our APU computers. And on an FX machine, video was okay, but audio was somewhat sketchy. So you got to have a fast computer. So why are we building faster computers? Because some of the devices that are doing some smart things don't have onboard processing. Because they don't have onboard processing, they're using your processor to do what they're doing. So you need a faster processor. So I'm going to throw that out there. Now, next topic. For those of you that are doing video, whether live video, like we're doing here because we're streaming this to YouTube, or for those of you that are editing video and putting it somewhere like on YouTube after the fact. I mentioned a company that does titles, New Blue Effects. There's another company that has titles for Vegas Pro called Vegasar. And I have a link up to some animated lower thirds and text templates for Vegas Pro. That's talking point number 23. And as I go up the list, I've got some interesting articles from RedShark, more power for the same price from Intel's new processors. There's a new motherboard coming out from MSI for the Threadripper, and there's some new hard drives out. Have y'all seen what Western Digital, you know, it's always back and forth. Have y'all seen what Western Digital and Seagate are doing? 12 terabyte, and they're talking 20 terabyte by 2020. Now, for those of us that are doing video, a big drive is a big deal. But this new helium drive that's in the talking points, I'm going to go up to the very top of that page, which is, this is on Extreme Technology. Extreme Technology says Seagate unveils a massive 12 terabyte Barracuda Pro, and I believe it was a 14 terabyte that has just come out from Western Digital. So it kind of boggles the mind, at what point do most people say enough? And are you running that as a single drive, or are you running that as a network attached storage? A spinning drive, you need capacity, but you need speed. So it's probably going to be some type of drive that you have access through Thunderbolt, because you need quick data access. And all this talk about 4K cameras, there's an article on RedShark that talks about being able to print your own camera in 3D. And there's websites that deal with some of these 3D models you can print, which I find quite fascinating. Now I've got a link up here from Cinema 5D about the new HP Z workstations. Can you imagine a computer with 3 terabytes of RAM? That's a workstation. Now it's important we talk about workstations, whether it's a desktop or a laptop, not just from an engineer's perspective, because there's a new version of Windows coming out. We talked about this new version of Windows, Windows for workstations, and it's also going to change the pricing structure of Windows. The price of Windows 10 is getting ready to go up. And for those of you that can still get it free, know how to do it, that's the way to do it. But at some point, people are going to be paying more than $150 for it, and with this new version coming out, it's going to be for workstations. And there's going to be updates for it for running new Ryzen machines. So I mention this because as you buy or build a new machine, you're going to want to question how many processors you've got, how many processors you want to buy, and that may dictate what Microsoft lets you put on of their operating system on your computer. It's relevant because stuff like that makes me want to go to Linux. All I need are the applications that work to do what I want to do. Hold your thought. Hold your thought. Hold your thought. Now, I've got a link up here on Tom's for a CPU price watch if you're interested in looking at the Intel Coffee Lake versus the AMD Ryzen or the new Threadripper. And I've also got this about RedShark. As I said, print your own camera. It's an interesting theoretical. And how many people here still use Kaspersky? Anybody? Nobody use Kaspersky? You know, on one hand, you're worried about the Russians getting your computer. The other hand, you're worried about the CIA getting your computer. So, you know, who you want to trust.
But they're working together.
Absolutely, they're working together. It's all part of the grander scheme of things. Anyway, I've got a link up from Bob Luton from Kim Commando about the security software removing it, which I don't agree with, but I think it's interesting and relevant to read it. They're talking about getting rid of Kaspersky. They talk about using Microsoft security systems. That's what David Crook likes. I don't agree with that, but those are your options. Y'all remember used to, when we were running Windows 32-bit, we were all running Zone Alarm. And then we only left Zone Alarm for one reason. Zone Alarm was slow to come to the camp to bring us a 64-bit version. Y'all remember that? So we had Zone Alarm, which now has a 64-bit version, and there's also Komodo. Has anybody ever run Komodo?
Yeah.
I've used Komodo on machines that I'm not on a primary machine. Komodo's pretty good. It puts some junk on that's really easy to do. Uninstall. It works. Remember, Komodo also does SSLs. Joe?
I left Zone Alarm because they started trying to be too much.
Well,
everything to everybody, and their product was going to hell.
It became a Swiss knife.
Yeah.
And it got very
And
confusing.
I dumped it for that reason.
Well, I dumped it number one because there was no 64-bit version. And went to these others because we had a 64-bit version. But I've got some links up in case anybody's interested in that. And I got one from Robert Collier, also from Kim Commando. Anybody buy on Amazon?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't have an Echo, but I do a lot of stuff on Amazon. That article that Robert Collier sent on Kim Commando's site, now that's one to read. What I don't understand after reading the article and what it talks about, say you order something, or you don't order something. Say somebody else orders something on your account, but it's not sent to your address, it's sent to a different address. Amazon is very specific on your account where stuff is sent. So it talks about the 3 ways on Amazon to buy something. And it's through these third-party sellers that this is occurring. Read the article, and it's a good idea to keep an eye on your account with Amazon. So I appreciate you sending that. Now,
Gil,
yes, ma'am.
I have an announcement to make. If you would go to Jewish Funeral Houston, you will see Milt Guggenheim's obit, and his service is coming up this Sunday
I appreciate you sharing that.
at 1:30 at the, whatever it is. I thought I had it right here, yeah. Congregation Beth Israel on Braeswood. But Jewish Funeral Houston, if you Google that, you can find his talk right there. It goes. I didn't think it was going in there. So Jewish Funeral Houston, Funerals Houston, 3 words, and you can see his obit, and you can find out where the service is.
I've got it under Legacy.
No, Legacy is not it. You don't want that. It's only on Jewish funerals.
Jewish Funerals STX.
Yeah?
I got a copy of his obit when I got the notification of his death.
Yeah, well, that was
His
from a
wife said
different
that.
place, yes.
Yeah.
That was on Find a Grave or something. And that,
Oh.
according to Eileen, his wife, it was a renegade version. And it's on the right-hand side, September 14th.
Yes.
So anyone, let's keep that in mind, 1:30 Sunday.
1:30 this Sunday. There's a picture of Milt. I put up a video a couple of weeks ago on Build or Buy. Did anybody get a chance to see it? A few of you did. I did that out of respect to Milt. Viewed 406 times. So I'm going to email that to myself right quick. Okay. Back to the talking points. Robert Collier, what was your comment a while ago? Definition of a workstation. Well, let's take it from Microsoft's standpoint.
You were saying that there's new Windows coming out for workstation, and I've always wondered, how do you define a workstation? I don't think what we build is workstation. What is one?
Okay, on talking point number 6, extreme technology. Microsoft may be planning price increases for Windows 10. I'm going to hold down the Control key. I'll press Enter, take you to that link. Now give it a minute because this is going to do some squirrely things. These stupid ads they've got running. Extreme technology is getting to be like CNET. It's just getting really hard to focus on what you're trying to read. They got so much garbage. Okay, let's go through this. Flexible on the pricing. Struggling to gain market share. I wouldn't be using it if I didn't have to. The Workstation Edition includes Microsoft REFS file system, resilient file system, persistent memory, SPM direct file sharing, expanded hardware support, CU clusters, high volumes of memory. Most features consumers won't commonly need, but the price increase could still affect you. Okay, it'll be based on the processor inside the machine. A system with 4 or fewer cores, a Windows license is expected to increase $70. For a machine with more than 4 cores, Microsoft is looking at a $230 price increase to the manufacturer, and that will get passed down, which is ridiculous. Windows 10 Pro for workstations. There's a screen capture.
By core, you mean individual cores, like my core in my AMD processor's got 6 cores, or they talk about 6
cores or threads.
No, it's got 6 cores.
6 cores. And see, that's what I find hard to believe, because I wanted to read this to you guys, let y'all be aware of it, what Microsoft is trying to do, because I think it's ridiculous. For example, I'm running this on a Ryzen machine that I can do lots of things with, but that they want to charge me an arm and a leg to put the next version of Windows on there? Now, this Windows for Workstation eventually is going to have an update so that it will work with a Ryzen machine. But I think if we read further down, what they have relevance to is the processors like the Opteron or the, what's the one Intel has? The Xenon?
Xenon.
I think the one thing they say in there, that it's for server-grade hardware,
well,
whatever that means.
Well, when you talk about server-grade hardware, a server-type motherboard, that's where you would have a motherboard that could take 2 or 4 separate CPUs. However many cores they've got is however many cores. And those kind of motherboards, you're talking a $500 minimum price motherboard versus a $100 motherboard.
That's what MSI used to specialize in.
Servers. Well, I've been real pleased with this machine. Anyone looking to pick up a system running an Intel Xeon or an AMD Opteron in the coming months will probably also get stuck with a more expensive Windows 10 Pro for workstations. So for most folks, it's not probably going to affect us. However, it says Microsoft reportedly plans to require that version on such systems. So a future update will also add support for the Intel Core i9 and Ryzen Threadripper chips, possibly March or April of next year. That would be an optional upgrade for users, but OEMs would still be subject to higher licensing costs because of the cores in those parts. Windows 10 Pro for Workstation is expected to launch in the coming weeks when the new Fall Creators Update rolls out widely. Now, that Fall Creators Update we talked about a while ago, as David said, is supposed to be out in September. It's not out yet. It's coming. And when that comes, that's when Windows 10 Pro for Workstations should be out, should be available. Yes, Joe.
Another word, when Microsoft starts talking about workstations like they did years ago, workstations require different types of video cards.
Yep.
And if you wanted to compare prices on a video card, even today,
yes,
look at the workstations for workstation video cards versus
regular desktop video cards.
Desktop or gamer video cards.
Yeah.
They're way more expensive.
Difference in daylight and dark. Yes. Yes, Robert.
Just yesterday, I ran Bandicam. I guess that's what it's called.
Bandicam?
Bandicam, whichever one is the cheaper version. And my source disk and my destination disk were both the SSD. So therefore, I look at that as the disk access portion of the process is 0, that's fast enough that the disk is not part of it. And I joined together 4 or 5 links. That's what I was doing with Bandicam. Was doing the, well, not the fast version, but the I don't remember what the word is. Does the picture again.
Oh, yeah, you were trying to stitch a couple of video clips together?
Right.
So it had to render.
Yeah, it had to re-render. So the point is that this ended up being something like 250 megabytes.
Yeah.
Which is not tremendous, but it took 15 minutes. So you look at the processor gadget on the front panel of the desktop, and you can see that we don't exceed 20 or 30% on the processor on an 8-core machine. Disk has been eliminated because the source and the destination are an SSD.
Right.
So that processor is doing something. It's not consuming the processor. It's not the disk. There's some other choke point.
It's the codec.
Inside the machines that we build.
It's the codec. The codec, Joe.
So what's the I/O count?
Well, I don't know why there would be any I/O because it's just going back to the disk, and the disk is an SSD.
Yeah,
so
but it's still I/O.
I/O to who?
They're still transmitting a signal to the SSD and taking a signal back to the SSD, and those are all I/Os. So
I know they are, but they run at RAM rate. They don't run at HD rate.
I know, but if you look, well, I use file. If you look at what program is that?
I'm blind.
Well, I just assume that what's happening is I'm saturating the north bus.
Rendering is dependent upon the codec. There's a default codec they will try to use according to the video card you have installed. Then there's a secondary codec they'll use if you don't have an adequate video card. I do not remember off the top of my head what that is. But it depends upon the codec being used.
But still, don't you think if it's an inefficient codecs that it would show up as a high processor job, keep the processor busier than it would be if it had a better codecs or some such thing? And all I'm saying is that doesn't happen. If I'm only using 30% of my 8 cores, processor limit.
It again depends upon the codec. The codec they're trying to use is dependent upon the video card.
Yeah. Well, I have a very cheap video card.
I agree.
So
I don't remember what the default codec is. I'd have to go back and look at it.
Well, I was curious. I was going to do this after the meeting, but I guess I can ask now. Ask to you those 4 files and have you Bandicut and just see what your Teradek machine.
Oh, see what I'm
so
doing.
it takes me 15 minutes. Can you do it in 6? Can you do it in 2? Or does it take you 15 minutes also? And you've got more powerful machines than I do. I just like to know if we've got a process where that.
I don't think I put Bandicut on this machine yet. Let me look. No, I have not put it on this machine yet. That's interesting.
Well, I think there's a free version, isn't there?
Well, I've got the paid version. That's not the problem.
Yeah, okay. Well, I bought it too. It's one of the best buys I've ever made.
Yeah. Yeah, since I've been using the video editor from Blackmagic, DaVinci Resolve, and of course I use the Magix Vegas Video, I don't use those two as much as I used to.
Well, that would be another interesting question if you're willing to spend the time on it. Is do those do quicker or better? You know, what is that? Is there any difference that we can see? It's just an experiment to run, but you know, if you haven't got the time and the interest, I don't want to push it.
I'll be glad to take a look at it, but I wasn't prepared to do that today.
I understand.
I don't have that installed on this machine.
No, I didn't think we'd do it during the meeting.
Yeah, I'll be happy to take a look at them and see. It's you see, doing video, there's 2 types of video. When you're doing just a quick and dirty cut and edit, and what I like about the Bandicut products, if I need to capture a screen, that's the easy way to do it on a machine. The last couple of times I tried to run Bandicam on an FX machine, the screen went bonkers. So now I have to go out from one machine into another machine or into an SSD to do my capturing. I can do it on the Ryzen and I don't have the problem. It used to work. It doesn't work as well now. Now, if I'm cutting videos, like I've captured something I need to do for quick and dirty, I like that program. But it doesn't do a clean job beginning and the end, which is what beginning and end. it almost like a tear. Because when I take that video and put it in an editor, the frames on the ends are messed up. And I have to do another edit to clean that beginning and end up again.
Well, I have observed, and they warned me once, that if you use the re-render mode, it will do better, even if the, this is one thing that I'm editing scenes out of, so it's all the same thing. It's not from different sources, where parameters are changing from clip to clip. But they say that your start and stop times may change, that I've selected something in the operator screen. I want to start here and I want to stop there. And if I go to fast mode, it may change. So that sounds familiar to me. DVD Shrink used to do that kind of thing.
Well, the program also is not absolutely frame accurate. The counter to get down for quick and dirty for what it does is excellent.
Yeah.
But when you're doing just video, that's fine. But when you need to do video that's got credits in it, that's not a video editor. It's just a cutter.
No, it's definitely not. It does what I want to do. It wouldn't do, I'm sure, the things you want to do. It won't change colors.
Well, as far as changing colors, I put fonts. I put text over the video. So it's just like doing credits here live. When I do that, I have a special application I use that for. And if I'm doing it live or if I'm doing it pre-recorded, for example, I'm going to show you here. I'll bring up a credit. For example, right now today, this is live. Okay, I'll bring that up. I'll put it on the switch. I'll put it on air right there. To be able to do that, I'm doing that live right now on this computer. That's a big deal that a lot of people haven't figured out how to get that to work. And it took me a while to figure it out too, even with the right application. Or turn around and do this one. Gil Boyd and Joe Winery host, Builder Buy. To be able to do all that kind of stuff, that's a big deal. Now I'm doing this live as I'm talking, but if I want to do that in a video, I have to re-render the video with this stuff. It's part of an effect. It takes time to put all this stuff in there. It takes time then to render it out. But even though it takes time, it's mostly editing time. The render part, once I set it and forget it, it runs. I'm running all the cores, and it's with a dumb video card in here that I had retired that I thought would never see the light of day. So all the processing I'm doing is doing off this CPU. So yes, I'd like to look and see what that does, because I have not put those applications on this machine and compare it. I'd like to see if the CPU is doing much to it, because the video card that's in here that I'm doing these graphics with is just not that great. But it gets done what we need to when we're trying to show stuff. Now to do that, I have to think about it to click on it to put it on. And if I leave that up, which I have done sometimes, and I forget about it, then I have to take it off air, which I just did.
It could be if I had a video card gadget, maybe I'd see it. Because maybe if he is trying to use my hardware and it's the lowest cost you can buy, then that could very well be where my hang-up is.
There is a lot of information on their website that talks about custom configuring a better codec, but they use the one that they think is the safest to use with the most hardware. You can change the codec. There's a, if I remember correctly, an H.264 codec that's very good, but there's some things you have to go in and set it, and they tell you what to do and how to do it. It's very effective. But I'll take a look at it and try it. Nobody's said anything about that lately, so I'm always curious about it. And right now, I've got this Ryzen machine doing like 3 different things. What I'm doing on the Ryzen machine, I wouldn't dare do on an FX machine. It just wouldn't hold up. Would not hold up. Okay, back to the talking points. I mentioned the price watch, Extreme Technology, the price increase for Windows. Oh, VPNs. We've had some questions about VPNs. Did y'all know those aren't quite all that they're cracked up to be? Mm-hmm. Specifically that there are logs that are kept. And the reason I say that, well, Microsoft is wanting to restart a computer. No. No, no, no. Not today. Not in my lifetime. Breaks my train of thought. Okay, where was I? Forgot what I was telling you about. Oh yeah, the VPN. I've got a link up here. It's from Extreme Tech, again, number 5. It's an article worth reading. Supposedly, non-existing VPN logs help FBI catch an internet stalker. Now, this guy's a creep for what he was doing, and he should have been caught. But the fact that VPN was used to do that with, that makes me question a VPN. Now, most people use a VPN because they need security, like from office to office, or they're trying to get around some kind of a geolocation issue, like if you want to see the news in the UK and they won't let you for some of those streaming things, that'd be a reason to have a VPN. But this guy was doing nefarious things, so I'm glad they caught him, but the fact of how they caught him, it's just the VPN is not as secure as I thought it was. Yes, Jack? Let's change that over.
Especially since a number of VPNs specifically advertise that they do not keep logs.
Yeah, yeah.
It
Makes
would
you
be,
question, doesn't it?
I wonder if they're all liars or only some of them, or... by the way, I noted that I picked up a 6-month free Amazon Prime membership by way of getting an EDU email address.
Really?
Yeah, they think I'm a student.
Interesting.
And I'm a student of a lot of things, but
That's right.
which will supposedly lead into a 4-year Prime membership at half price.
Wow.
And
How'd you get the .edu?
I called up my old alma mater's website
Yeah.
and dug down to their IT department and called them, and there was something that indicated that even ex-students could get one. I graduated in 1963, so.
You deserve every right.
And I
agree.
I did get it. And anyway, what brought me to think about that is that I found that Amazon will not stream if you're on a VPN.
Really?
Yeah, they've apparently locked down all VPN streaming. It was mostly in use by people that were in foreign countries that
Yes.
wanted to get stuff that was available in the U.S.
Well, you know, that was a big deal for a while with streaming on Netflix. Netflix was, they'd block this, and then so they'd set the servers up somewhere else, different IP address. And I don't know where that still sets, but the last time I heard about it, there was like cat and mouse chasing each other because Netflix wants to know where you're at.
Well,
And
it seems like Amazon just threw in the towel and quit trying to guess.
They just said no
and
VPNs.
just said no more VPN streaming, period. So,
It's interesting because the AWS, the Amazon web servers, some of the cloud services that others are using to do some of this streaming stuff are Amazon. And I think that's relevant because at one time, if you wanted to do something to connect and it was on whatever you wanted to call it when the internet started, it was all through CompuServe. Those were all CompuServe servers. And CompuServe got taken over, AOL. Oh, and by the way, anybody still do instant messaging? Did y'all see the article about AOL's their AIM? AOL Instant Messenger, they're finally going to shut it down. So I never did like it. Yes, sir.
On VPNs, the one article I was reading said the big thing is that both Amazon and Netflix, the problem is licensing with the content providers. The content providers only license it for specific companies. So both Netflix and Amazon have to make sure that they cut out the VPNs and that the people they're actually showing it to are in the countries where they have the licenses.
Good to know. And I also read where Netflix is going up on their prices for those of you that use Netflix. Who's going down, really?
More ways than one.
So let's see, of all the things I had a link down here on Amazon for the price of Windows 10 Pro, and I put it on Amazon so you could see what the current price was, which I thought was kind of curious. But there was another article I had, and apparently I didn't get that up, about Windows 10 Pro for the workstation, so I'll have to try to find that and get that up for you later. Anyway, those are the things that I thought were kind of relevant, and I was going to get into this deal with Skype. I was going to have the demo to show you, but just for now, I'll put something up later. I've been kind of busy. Remember that the cam link, let me go get it. Swap that out in just a minute. Let me go get it.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there any plan to discuss or bring up the new Windows creator update that's coming up starting October 17, I believe.
We can talk about it whenever you guys would like. I haven't seen anything in the news about it.
We talked about that earlier.
Yeah, it's coming up pretty quick.
I mean, we talked about it. We talked about it today.
We did. She wasn't here.
Okay, that's not necessarily kind of come to your computer on that day. That's the day that they start releasing it to computers that meet all of the requirements of it that they have tested so far. And it may well be that it does happen to come to your computer on that day. You can, depending, what version of Windows 10 do you have on your computer, Mel?
1607.
No, do you have Windows 10 Pro, Windows 10 Home?
Home.
Okay, well, if you would upgrade to something besides Home, you can have some control over when it comes to your computer. 10 Pro or 10 Enterprise or 10 Education, any of those will allow you to delay the update.
Okay, thank you. I just wondered if there's any information out about how good or bad it is or how much problem it's going to create, if any.
I'm sure it's going to create some problems like we've had in the past, but as far as what it's going to do, it's not out yet, so we don't know. But I mean, we're fighting updates now like we were talking about a while ago.
Okay, so here's what you should do to prepare for it. Open every single application that's on your computer and update that application to the latest version. Make sure that your computer is already, that Windows is already up to date and that you don't have any failed updates. Okay?
Copy.
Then back your computer up. It's best to have at least 3 backups of one on site, one off site, and
as we mentioned
and
last week, clone, image, or backup.
Yeah, and make sure it works. Make sure that you can boot to it.
And Windows 10 Workplace will be called Windows 10.3.1.1. Remember that one?
Who knows? Okay, so gone through the talking points, and I was trying to tell you about Skype. I'm not going to do it again. Anybody's got any other questions? Okay, have any of y'all seen the videos lately on YouTube we've got? Anybody watched them? Nobody? Well, I appreciate that. For those of you that are online and those of you that are here, I would appreciate if you found the information helpful to please give us a thumbs up, subscribe. Right now I think we have like 49. Let me go over here to the computer and see what it says. Yes, sir. Yes, Nick. I get a mic right behind you. A little further. You got it.
Go over one more time how to subscribe from the website. I went over it the other day. I was going to subscribe for my wife. Not that she'd ever look, but it would be one more of your coming up 100.
Okay, I appreciate it because we need to get 100 before we can get an exclusive URL. If you go to BuilderBuy, and the easiest way to get there is go to either one of our websites, builderbuy.org or builderbuy.net. I'll hold down the control key. I'll click on that, our YouTube videos. It's in the middle of the index page. In fact, I think it's on every page. And you'll notice BuilderBuy, you'll see the video uploads. Now, these are the videos for BuilderBuy. There's also a separate list, which is under my name for BuilderBuy behind the scenes. I'm doing some other stuff. For those that might be interested in the behind the scenes stuff, the same thing applies. Right here where at the top where it says sign in, for example, if I click on a video like from last week and I see that video and I say, okay, that particular video, I want to do a thumbs up or I want to subscribe where it says here subscribe. If I click on subscribe, it's going to tell me, do you want to subscribe to this channel? And I'm going to say yes. So what I have to do is I have to sign in, which I can't do because I'm in the account right now. But I sign in with my Google account, got my email address, back out, and then there will be a button and then it'll show me subscribe, then I'll say yes, subscribe. I can't click on it because I'm in the account right now. I don't know what would happen if I tried. what I'll do is I'll make a video. I put a video up on this before, but I'll do a video that we can show here what it looks like logging into the account. I'll do a screen capture of that.
Well, yeah, we can try and subscribe on mine if you want.
Okay, have you subscribed on your machine?
I'm not on this machine, but I subscribed.
Has anybody, would anybody like to do it, and I'll do it on your machine? I'll come back there and do it right now.
What happens if you get your 100 subscribers and then you get
Then
your,
I lose? If I
Yeah.
were to lose some?
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't read that. There's other things that we could do if we had 1,000 subscribers. Right now, I just like to get 100.
Because, yeah, let's find out. I'm going to try and ask my groups at the Funny Farm to
Sign up.
sign up and ride it for a few weeks.
And remember, the worst
Yeah.
thing that you're going to get is you'll get an email from YouTube, anything you've subscribed to, showing that this entity, individual, whatever, has a new video up. And they'll give you a link to go look at it. And then below that, they'll have some suggestions based on what you've been looking at, based on the cookies on your machine, that they'll suggest you go look at. So it's not too bad. You get a message once a week from them.
But do you want to try it here or what?
Do it on yours? You've already subscribed on yours. Does anybody else have a machine they'd like to do it on that hasn't subscribed? We can walk through the process on Joe's. Let's take a look at it. Let's put up computer number 4.
Is a subscription tied to the machine?
No, the subscription is tied to your Google account.
Okay.
So if you have a Google account and you've already subscribed, you cannot subscribe again. But if you have somebody else that has another Google account, they can subscribe. So let's put Joe up on
Wait a
the,
minute.
there we go.
On the last couple of,
Yes, you can have multiple Google accounts. I don't know, I haven't tried it. For example, I have one Google account, but on YouTube, I've got Builder Buy as one channel, then I've got a separate, which is the parent channel, Gil Boyd. I had no intention of ever doing anything with that or for that. But as a result of some of the stuff and people I've interacted with, I have a separate set of videos up about Builder Buy that right now I'm calling Builder Buy Behind the Scenes. It's about, like for example, this Film Tools video card. I've got one up about a Decimator LX converter, and a lot of people have been looking at it and asking questions about it. People want to know, there's more people that want to know how to use this gear than the stuff we talk about every week, which is kind of interesting. So let's go over to his computer. Oh, thank you. Didn't realize you were on it. Thanks. Okay, our YouTube videos. Get rid of Excel. Click on our YouTube videos. Little black button right there. And we're on Builder Buy. We're going to pick a video, not the live stream. Yeah, pick that one right there. Pick that video. And we're going to subscribe. Oh, wow, it says we have 50 now. Somebody just subscribed. So whoever did that.
Nick.
No, Nick's done it before. He's going to do it for his wife. Who did it just now? Oh, you did. Thank you, David. I appreciate it. So click on subscribe right there on the page. We click on subscribe. You're already subscribed, so you can't. You're already logged in,
Oh, yeah, okay. So I can't.
so you can't. But that's what you do. And then what you would do is you log in with your account. Where's that audio coming from? Oh. That was freaky.
Oh, that's you.
Yeah. So anyway, that's how you subscribe to it. You can go ahead and close that out. Now, if we were to,
Hey, I can shut Gil up just by clicking a button.
that works.
Yeah.
That's a neat trick. Try that one more time. Click, 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 click. If anybody else wants to try that on their machine that hasn't done it, go to that button and click on it, and what you do is you're going to log in with your Google account. Now, I don't have a Google Gmail address, but I use my email address at Builder Buy for that account. So I log into that account, and I can subscribe to somebody that has a video. Or I can do the likes, or if you'll notice, there's also, if I go to Builder Buy, and I go to the bottom here, not the playlist, but subscriptions, these are all vendors that I've signed up for, that I've subscribed to because I think the technology is fascinating. So you can go to their sites off of Builder Buy and see what they're about. Now, if you're interested in what's going on with Gil Boyd, we can go up here to YouTube. We'll do a search. And there's about 4 Gil Boyds up here. He's pretty easy to find. And those are not me. And those are not me. Now, there's the stuff with Pat. That's me. Or if I do something like with the decimator, right there, decimator MDLX converter. If you click on that, that's me. And if you click on Gil Boyd, Gil Boyd has 3 videos up and 3 subscribers. And I've got a list up for Pat's Piano and also for Builder Buy. I started with the video card because Leilani that made this for me, I told her she should have autographed it. This thing's built like a tank. So I put up a video and then I said, well, this VESA monitor thing is kind of cool. So I put up a video for that. So then after the decimator MDLX, I said, well, that's kind of interesting. I didn't really find what I was looking for that anybody else had, so I put up a video of that. And that's why I was shooting video today of the decimators over here, the MD-HX and the MD-Cross, because those are battery powered. And if you go try looking for something like that, it's not out there. So I'm going to put up a video about that behind the scenes. But that's not going to be part of Builder Buy. So those of you that subscribe to Builder Buy will only see the stuff for Builder Buy. If you want to subscribe to Gil Boyd, then you'll only see the stuff that goes up under Gil Boyd. I hope that's not confusing. Because it reminded me, like Nick Streeter said, I'm only interested in the stuff as it relates to my computer. So as it relates to my computer, that's Builder Buy. This other stuff, behind the scenes. So does that help? Builder Buy, YouTube videos. I may put a link up to it later. I don't know. But right, that's us, and I think that's what's relevant. So, Nick, do you know your wife's information to get into her Google account, which would be email address and password? Okay, well, let's get a mic.
I hate Google. They just made us change our passwords again. And you can't use a previous password. It's always got to be something different. And
kind of annoying.
So we went through that this past weekend, and no, I don't.
And then they want you to verify with an email address.
Oh.
I mean, with a, they'll send you an SMS message with your cell phone or whatever.
Yep.
It's all trying to keep, you know, security, keep everything safe. So well, when you get home, log in with her Google account, with her email address and her password, and then you can subscribe. I appreciate it. And again, David Crook, thanks for subscribing. So now we got 50. All we need are 50 more, and we'll get an exclusive URL. Something easy to find, like Builder Buy. Builder Buy computers, keep it short, Builder Buy. So, does that help? Any questions? Now remember, we have one more week this month. We have next week. We will not be here the last week of this month. The machine we were supposed to work on with Howard last week, I have not seen nor heard anything from him. I hope he is okay. He made it through the storm, but it's like he just disappeared. So, don't know what happened to him, but I hope he's all right. Howard. Howard was the gentleman that we were going to work on last month. To reiterate, do you remember Howard came in before Hurricane Harvey? And we looked at his machine, and Joe said, this is what you need to do to upgrade that machine. He got the parts. Hurricane Harvey happened, and then we couldn't work on it. So I said, we'll do it after Harvey. And I had email from him. He said he was going to be here, and he was a no-show last week. Still haven't heard from him, so I hope he's all right. The point of this is sometimes things we plan don't always go as we plan. Things change, like the stuff we did with your computer. Yeah. Did you finally get yours all together? The mic.
I was thinking I ought to write down something about lessons I learned building a new computer.
Well,
things to avoid in the future.
You had some problems that you should not have had.
Right.
And it was unfortunate because it drew that out, drew the process out longer than it should have been.
Like, well, the major problem was apparently initially bad motherboard.
Yeah.
And that was caused, the problem there was because I ordered it from New York. And by the time we figured out it was bad, and then I had to
exchange it, and then I had to wait for that, and then we had to test the new one, and by the time this was all resolved, it was about 3 weeks of just sitting and waiting.
Yeah, and the turnaround. And of course, we checked the power supply.
Yeah, yeah.
But a bad motherboard can happen. That's why when you get this stuff, to test it as soon as possible.
So I, in the long run, looking back at it now, I would have spent an extra few bucks and just bought the thing locally, and I could have traded it the next day and saved a couple of weeks and so on like that.
But it was a learning process.
Yes.
And it's always RAM, motherboard, and processor. But when you get a bad board, you know, it's funny you mention that, because a lot of these new machines, these new chipsets, some of the stuff I'm reading from users online, the companies are not even dealing with trying to fix things. They're just saying, if you can't make it work, send it back. So it's kind of getting kind of weird. I don't know if it's BIOS issues or if it's a quality control issue because they're getting them out too fast. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you had a bad board, so got it turned around. And you bought that from B&H.
Yes, I did.
They've been good to deal with.
And yeah, it just, you know,
Time.
dealing long range like that, it just
Takes time.
made it.
Especially since we only meet once a week.
Yeah, and then originally I had to wait for the motherboard because it turned out it was kind of a special item.
Oh, wow.
So they didn't have it in stock, so they had to order it from Gigabyte, and then it was drop shipped from Gigabyte to me. And
More
it
time.
was just layers upon layers upon layers involving this motherboard, which I could have solved had I bought it locally, probably.
Well, and that's something that David Crook has talked about, and Robert Collier also have talked about, buying locally. Now, for me, because our mobility is an issue, it's easy for me to buy stuff like that on Amazon if someone doesn't have it in stock. But if I pay the extra $10, because if I buy it on Amazon, I'm buying it from Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
That way they can turn around fast. If it's bad, they'll also cross-ship, or they'll do a replacement. But if I buy it on Amazon from a third party, Amazon says, well, we can't replace it. You got to send it back and order it again. So all those little things you have to be aware of. But I'm sorry, John, it took so long, but I'm glad you got it together, and I'm glad it's working for you. So we're going to be building some more machines in a matter of time, but some of that stuff, it's like, you know, I guess we ought to do a dry run first, a dress rehearsal.
Well, yeah, part of the problem was, you know, it's been like 7 years since I'd done one.
Yeah.
And it was just...
Things you forget.
Yeah, almost everything.
but it's running good now.
Yes, yes.
I'm glad.
No problem at all.
I'm glad. Does anybody have any more questions today? Joe, you got anything else you want to share today? Folks, I want to thank you for coming. I hope you enjoyed it. We look forward to seeing you next week. And remember, we'll be here also next month. Y'all have a great day. Thanks for joining us.
Okay.
Let me run the credits. Let's put up camera computer number 4. Computer number 4. Computer number 4. And roll credits. Nope, that's number 3. Let's put up computer number 4. There we go. Now flip it over. There we go. Thanks for joining us, folks. We'll see you next week. Have a great day.